We can begin a harmony circle. And before we get into the discussions and reflections, just taking a minute to gather ourselves. Taking a few breaths all the way in, all the way out, and not leaving the side of the breath. Invoking Mother's presence. So, good morning to some and good evening to others.
Hi Taru. Hello everyone.
Namaste, Jagan. Yeah.
Namaste.
So Cyrus has a sore throat, so he won't be speaking today.
Okay.
So hi from Cyrus to all of us.
Okay. Hi Cyrus. Take care. Yeah.
Yeah, so since the beginning of January, since the beginning of this new year, we have been taking up topics which basically are belonging to new beginnings. Like, we saw how hard it is, why it's so hard to let go. We delved into that. We looked into the ego patterns, letting go of the past. I think we focused on last time, and yet I don't know however many times we seem to take up this topic. It seems there's so much more that can be said because somehow this letting go is really tough. Really, really tough because somewhere we have this illusion that what I have to let go is me. And oftentimes it feels like, your skin is being ripped apart when we are asked to change our patterns or, let go of something familiar. So this time, a couple of things, how, welcome Nandini, hi dear. So a lot of, a lot of time there are things that lead to the topics, right? And this we have been discussing for some time. So this week, this thing I saw written somewhere that, life gives you two choices and it's pretty common. Life gives you two choices, evolve or repeat. And we just keep repeating, we just keep repeating, we just keep repeating, and we don't think there is any issue with that. We want to change. And if we are not able to change, we are okay. We are like kind of not even realizing that we are repeating. We feel everybody doesn't change. The world appears to be the same. There is monotony. Why is the other not doing what he should be doing? Why don't people have their ducks in the row? But the onus is mostly not on me. And unless the onus is on me, nothing will ever change. Because if I remain the same, even if I go to Kailash for meditation, I will remain the same because it's I who's perceiving things, right? So say if there is a receptacle, right? If it has a particular shape, and whatever liquid you put on it, in it, it seems to just go into that shape, and the receptacle is angry, mad, frustrated, irritated that, why does everything following that particular shape? Why is the universe against me? Why do bad things happen to me? Why do I have to let go of things? Because it's my shape, it's my eyes, it's my perception. And if anything needs to change, I have to change first. So otherwise, the whole lifetimes we, follow this evolve or repeat thing, and we keep repeating. Because whenever there is any attack, right, of any pattern, of any tendency, somehow there is no room for thinking because we are not mindful. Things are just happening by themselves, and it seems that, the body has their own way of reacting. My mind has its own way of reacting. My emotions have their own way of reacting. And I don't know, things just keep happening by themselves. And it will never end until I put an end to it. I mean, it might, for some, and I don't know how many years it would take. But if we really want things to change, it would be not an understatement if I can word it very strongly that it will never end itself. I have to end it, right? I have to choose. And for that I have to, I don't know, be mindful of what's happening around me. How am I behaving? What am I going through? So yesterday again, something happened, and there was some series of events, presented in front of me, in which it felt that things would change. Now it's time to move on from something. Suddenly something had happened, and it literally feels really heavy, right? Like if something gives you delight and you are asked to leave it, or you don't know whether you will have it or not, it really feels like something is being ripped apart unless you stand and you question that, is it true? You have to stand and question, and then the false keeps kind of shrugging off. This feeling of, if this person goes away, or if that doesn't happen, what will happen to me? And then again you question that, really you are standing here today because of that person? Really, is that it? And then the answer is no. There's so much more you that is taking care of you, that's not true. So unless I am willing to see that, okay, there's some discomfort I'm feeling, and then go to the roots of the discomfort, it will keep happening. And once I start doing it, it's possible that I stop going that route. But in the beginning, I have to question the things that are causing me pain, suffering, making me react the same way again and again and again and again, for me to stop. So this evolve or repeat is my choice. And I know for a fact that my life has mostly been repeat, 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 repeat. So the question is, am I ready to see that I have just been repeating? How they say the difference between living and existing, I think would be this, that if I'm just repeating, I'm existing. There's nothing new that's happening to me. Every time the same trigger comes, I react almost the same way. But I can evolve, I can change, I can do better. That's a certainty. So what is stopping me from doing that? How do we do that? Is what we'll be shortly reflecting today. We don't have too much time. It's a 1 hour session. So anything before we delve into this further about anything that we have spoken about, or the topic by anyone? Coincidentally, yesterday in the Friday study circle, we took up a passage. And the passage, and I apologize to those who were already in the session, but again, the passage again was pointing at the same thing. It said the most important surrender is the surrender of your character, your way of being, so that it may change. If anybody is willing, if they could just read the first paragraph so that we can just, I don't know, even if we don't know if we need reflection, but at least it would get the thing towards where we want it to go.
I'll read it, Taru.
Yes, please. Thank you.
The most important surrender is the surrender of your character, your way of being, so that it may change. If you do not surrender your very own nature, never will this nature change. It is this that is most important. You have certain ways of understanding, certain ways of reacting, certain ways of feeling, almost certain ways of progressing, and above all, a special way of looking at life and expecting from it certain things. But it is this you must surrender. Do you want me to read further?
I think this is basic. Yeah, I mean, you can read this line, the next line too. Yes.
That is, if you truly want to receive the divine light and transform yourself, it is your whole way of being you must offer. Offer by opening it, making it as receptive as possible, so that the divine consciousness, which sees how you ought to be, may act directly and change all these movements into movements more true, more in keeping with the real truth.
Thank you so much. So here I'm being asked that the most important surrender is the surrender of my character, of everything that I think myself to be, so that I can change. It's said that if I do not surrender my nature, never will this nature change. And it's very contradictory. In Hindi we say Virodha Bhasi, that I might not be happy with a lot of things I do or say, or the way I think or perceive things. And yet, when I'm asked to give them up or change, I feel a pain in doing that. I feel that, I'm giving up myself. So I must look at that. I must question this, that this is interesting, that there are things I have been wanting to give up since as long as I remember. Some tendencies, some reactions. For a lot of us, our anger, our instant reactions, smart ass comments. Why is it that I am not able to shift when I know it's not serving me? So here Mother says you have certain ways of understanding, certain ways of reacting, certain ways of feeling, certain ways of progressing, and a special way of looking at life and expecting from it certain things. We don't even know that we are expecting. We might just be able to say that, no, now I'm totally okay. I don't expect. And yet, when life presents some challenges, we see that there are certain things that we take as, given. That, oh, this is a given for me. There is no if and but about it. This is the bare minimum. The way we take our bodies, we take everything for granted. We say, oh, this is the basic, And yet when something happens, a disease, a pain, a strain, we're like, oh my God, that too was a gift. And similarly, all things in our lives which we are taking as, my entitlement, that this is given. I was born with it. I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, for example. There's no entitlement, and all those entitlements fall under the category of my expectation. And of course, this is only for those who want to now change, right? Who want to transform, who feel I've had enough. A lot of times we are not able to give things up or give the past patterns up because somewhere something in me is not convinced that that's not serving me, that that's not good. Somewhere, I have a story associated with those things. I feel justified in asking for those things. I feel justified in reacting that way. That person reacted to me like that when I was a child. So it's okay if I'm rude to them, for example. We all have our stories and the victim identities, but we can do better if we want to, and we all know that. So it's just about being, again, especially in Sunlit Path, I had read that Mother says that what is one thing, a sadhak was asking, that I can do that would help me, and Mother says it very clearly that it's sincerity. That one thing that stops me from progressing is sincerity. And so right now it's just an invocation to reflect on our sincerities, that if things are bothering me and yet I'm stuck with them, what in me is stuck to them and why? There's always some greed. There is some story, some complication that I don't know if it really exists, but in my mind, it does exist for sure. And that is one of the definitions of characteristics of Maya, the illusions, that it makes us believe things that are petty. It makes us believe that they are important. So when the Upanishads talk about Maya, with Vedanta talks about this illusionary Maya, it says that it makes you stick to the petty, making you believe that it's the most important thing, that mujhe bola tha, how can I let go? Mere saath dhoka hua, that thing. And inconsequential, years and years and years back, things have happened. And I don't let go. Yes, anything from anybody? I have a video that I would want us to watch on this. It's a short video. Please let me know if you can see or hear it, and I'll reshare it.
It's like you're letting yourself die. Without dying, you cannot rebirth. So there's a lot of, based on experiential way, step by step, there's a lot of noise and a lot of uncomfortable feelings because my previous habit, it comes with me. I live my life with very comfortable and not worry about even my tickets and the foods, all this, right? So this, my old habit, are so strong, not easy to let go. So in order to let go, I learn how to be with the moment, the sensation.
Taru, if you don't mind, can you please increase the volume?
And at the same time, not just letting go.
Yes, I'll restart. I'm sorry if it was less.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, please let me know if it's better now.
It's like you're letting yourself die. Without
Yeah,
dying, you
Taru,
cannot
thank you.
rebirth.
Now it is fine.
So there's a lot of, based on experiential way, step by step, there's a lot of noise and a lot of uncomfortable feelings because my previous habit, it comes with me. I live my life with very comfortable and not worry about even my tickets and the foods, all this, right? So these, my old habit are so strong, not easy to let go. In order to let go, I learn how to be with the moment, the sensation, the sound, the feeling. And then at the same time, not just letting go, at the same time, I try to discover, to accept, to be the whatever, the moment now. So the dying is living. So when we know, let go, let ourselves die, then you rebirth. The rebirth is just the momentary, the freshness, the really the kind of like present, the present, and you can be with that presence.
So, here Mingyur Rinpoche, he was talking about how we need to die in order to be born again. So it's not a new thing that we are talking or hearing, right? And yet we are not able to do these things. We're not able to let go because we are still so much part of the story. It's too, I don't know, it feels too hard to let go. And yet, like I was saying before, that because we are not convinced that what we are holding on to is the reason for my suffering, is the reason for more and more suffering, because I can't see that these beliefs, these stories, these complications are causing me pain. It's like, say, you have, I don't know, I heard this example somewhere, I don't remember where, that say you have a first class ticket to, say, for a train, you have to go somewhere, and you have forgotten that you have a first class ticket, like you booked it a long time back. So you have to go, you run to the railway station, you go to the window, you're like, give me anything, I have to, take this train. You get the lowest category ticket, and that's also maybe standing, no reservation. You grab it, you're like, oh my God, I have to go, I have to go. And you're walking on the platform towards that whatever dabba that you call it, and you suddenly realize that, oh my God, you had booked a first class ticket maybe 3 months back. Will you have issues in letting go of that ticket, which was like, that no reservation standing khula ticket that you just bought? It's not the possibility, right? You will just throw it, or you will just maybe just put it down, that if somebody needs to use it, they might be able to use it. It's not a sacrifice. It's not renunciation that, hey, see, I'm giving out my old self and there's so much seriousness about it. It's a joy, right? It's like, oh my God, I forgot I have a first class ticket, and oh, thank God I remember, and now I'll travel like a king. So this reflection that I am more than my story, and I can behave better, I can live better, I can live lighter if I just let go, is not really that painful. It shouldn't be, but because I'm so complicated and things are so muddled that it appears to be. But if we look at the root of things, if something is making me freer, lighter, happier, Because I'm not sticking, I'm not holding, I'm not grabbing, I'm not saying, oh my God, how can this is me, this is me. It's a cause of celebration, right? That now I see the truth, that how I was, I was standing in my own way, and now I can move aside. But I need to be sincere. I need to be, on board with wanting to give up those tendencies, those patterns. Yes, I don't know, I am speaking too much today. So anything, if we are on the same page, any concern, question, reflection, sharing from our lives. So for those of us who joined us late, so basically we are reflecting on this statement that, we are often presented with two choices, that evolve or repeat. And why do we just keep repeating without even realizing we are repeating? And why we must choose, evolving over repeating.
I sometimes feel that one thing that has helped me a little bit in letting go of things is to consecrate my aim of life. Really consecrating what I really want in life, and I think that really helps me not only in letting go but reorienting. Because I think in one of the sessions last week we were reading that sometimes no matter how much you try, you can't really let go. And there's a purpose as well behind it, which we can't see. But if we just focus instead of letting go on progress, on really believing what is it that I want to achieve and moving towards it, you'll really look back and see that things that were, really were like a barrier in your feet are no longer there because you have without any effort. And that's really beautiful as well. Like mother has always said that, things that you do effortlessly bring more beauty and harmony than things that you do with an effort, because there's still an I in it. I did it, I let go. So for me, it's always, sometimes it's so easy that something is really bothering me, really troubling me. I just sit back, during my meditation, just ask myself that what is it that I want? What is it in my life that I want? Do I really need it? What is it really going to give me? And sometimes just with reasoning, just with pure logic, I can say, oh my God, this is just like, this is so unnecessary. Like a personal example I can give is that my partner changed jobs and now he's into shift work where he's doing nights and days. And because it's shifted, we're not able to spend too much time. And in the few months, it gives me so much anguish that we don't have any time. I come back from work, he goes to work, and literally there's nothing. And I used to, sometimes I used to be in bad mood and everything. And then one day I just sat down and I asked myself, what is it that I'm wanting? It is my, again, a desire. It's taking a beautiful form of, in a sense that it has to be a good relationship, so it's more time. But I can give that time to my reading more. I can read more. I can meditate more. There's so much me time I can have, which is beautiful. And it just, I didn't even have to do anything. It just went away on its own because I really saw myself doing what I really want in life. So something I thought that helped me.
Yes, absolutely. You know how again and again that simple line from Mother, that an aimless life is a miserable life. We might think it's a very simple thing that, yeah, we all have aims, goals, things that we are working towards, make them better and better and more impactful. But the more and more we delve into it, we realize that if I have something that I am working towards. Say, if I have, say, peace, right? That no matter what, I will not give up my peace. Somehow things turn to be, they are simpler if I am less involved, if I don't know, if I can see, is it taking me there, right? Any incident that happens, like you just share that beautiful example, that could be a beautiful time for self-development, right? But because I am so stuck with, oh, this is happening to me, oh, this is not fair, oh, I want this is not my image of a good relationship. I refuse to see the gift that is given to me. So again, I know I say this often, but I really believe in it that if I'm looking at the lack, I can never be grateful. And if I am grateful, I can never feel the lack. So it's my choice whether I look at any situation, anything with lack or with gratitude, with gratefulness, that of abundance. Mother says that we must stand on faith as, in like a rock. I feel that just like that, I believe that we must stand on gratefulness as a rock. That if I'm standing on gratefulness, people could be saying anything could be happening to me. And yet I can always, without a question, have so many things to be grateful for that there will be no end to the counting if I'm honest. And then I'll be so busy counting the things that I'm grateful for that I would never have time to look at any lack that I might think I have. Yes, anybody else?
So, ma'am, when you were talking about uh, basically giving up one's character, like surrendering a character. So if I were to give an example, let's say there is a child, he's addicted to his phone, like his father's phone. He keeps on watching it like day and night, or he's addicted to video games. That's more relatable. So he keeps on doing it like 13, 14 hours a day, and he's addicted. He cannot focus on anything. So the question here is, if I was in that situation, and if I had to surrender the habit of, well, this is just an example. So a habit of giving up my video games. So should I, in generally ऐसा होता था कि पापा बोलते थे कि वीडियो गेम बंद करो और किताब थमा देते थे हाथ में. So there was always a replacement for my surrender. So in in more profound examples, जब मुझे surrender करना पड़ता है, so should I replace it with something, or should I just stay quiet and let and observe how I'm feeling while I'm surrendering? And then, if even though I observe, how can I come to a conclusion what the right replacement for the surrender is?
Yeah, Jagan, that's a very good place to go with this discussion. Like, it's a good point that you have got. First of all, I don't know, again, I've said it before, that the word surrender, sometimes we make it so big that now it's like, oh my God, how, what, where, when, what degree, right? How to do it. So somehow I prefer the word offering rather than surrender, because still I believe there is me, the I. There is offering I can do, surrender I don't know. So your question was that there's this boy he's addicted to video games, and now either the option is he's given nothing or he's given something. What is better? So the answer, according to me, is that I think giving him nothing would never, ever, ever work. because we are sticky people. We want to hold on to things. It's not that that's the true nature of me, but because of the way I live, if I'm used to clutching, if I'm told that, okay, just let go now, be empty, that's hard for me. That's next to impossible. It's something that happens naturally, but I won't be able to do it if I want to do it. I will have to be given something. People, when they are giving up cigarettes, they are often holding pencils, pens, e-cigarettes, that they cannot let go of that movement, that thing between their lips and stuff. If people go into de-addiction programs, there are always so many creative, constructive activities that, okay, if you're not doing that and that thing was giving you delight, now let's introduce these activities to you, that maybe some of this, one of this, or a few of these could give you that delight. Because without anything, it's possible that I am simple and not expecting anything, but that's not how I've usually used to living. So I have to give replacement. So right now, if I'm running after stories, my story, my past, I have to run after something higher, something bigger. So I always have to replace. Earlier, if I have just been choosing petty or the false, I have to choose bigger and the truth. Choice I have to make all the time. Grasping, I will. That is my truth right now. Let me accept it. And now just let me see, what am I grasping? It is taking me higher or lower. Is it taking me towards transformation, towards a better version of me? Or again, it's a repeat, it's a repeat, it's a repeat. And that is why, I don't know what to term, I think Sagun and Nirgun, they say that, when we talk about idol worshipping, throughout other cultures, I think a lot of other cultures, idol worshipping is highly criticized about Indians. I don't know, so many million gods, crazy people, what do they do and all. And yet I find it really beautiful, because if you are told that, okay, believe in something, there is some higher energy, and just go down to it. For a common me, it's very hard, right? Because I'm used to shapes, sizes, clothes, beauty. I need something to believe it exists, because I cannot really just believe in energies and powers. So first they say you must develop that sagun, that, okay, these are the characteristics of my, Kana. He's so beautiful. His color is so dark. His eyes are so beautiful. There's so much natkhatpan, on his face. I develop love and endearment towards those deities, those idols. And then when I'm ready, I can go to, Sagun, that like a Nirgun, that doesn't matter. There's nothing. There's just an energy we are connected with, that interconnectedness. So I cannot just jump stages, just knowing that, okay, that is the ultimate and that's what I want. I have to see where I am standing. And for that, I have to hold on to whatever I am clutching, which will take me further to where I want to go, like Nandini was talking about the aim. Yes, Chagan, please.
Ma'am, so this video game example, or the cigarette example, or all these examples, like these are still tangible, right? So if I were to imagine an intangible, scenario, and if it's a habit that is within the mind, like I'll say procrastinating. So since I have to replace it with something, and the make the offering progressive instead of like instant. So what is a replacement for for a character that is procrastinating, day in and day out?
So procrastinating means that It's basically laziness, right? That it just wants to just sit and think, right? That's what you mean by procrastination.
Yes, that is one of the, one of the habits of procrastination, like, one of the effects of
Characteristics.
procrastinating. There are so many other things. Yes, like, planning something or working towards a goal, and कल कर लूंगा, तो ये वीकेंड है, वीकेंड पे मैं मतलब ऐसे ही चिल कर लूंगा, मंडे से शुरू करूंगा, and it keeps
Yeah.
on going. So उसका कोई रिप्लेसमेंट मतलब ग्रेजुअली उससे बाहर निकलने के लिए ऐसे कुछ आंसर होता है मैम उसके लिए?
Ragan, इसमें ना, I think an excellent example would be to observe children. If say there's a sand pit and there are kids who love to play in the sand. And if there's sand pit available, and if you tell them that, there is sand pit, we'll play after 1 hour or 2 hours, or we'll have lunch and play. They'll be like, lunch ko feko koode mein, matlab main to ja raha hu, right? Like they would not listen. Like I remember, when my child was like 3 and I had put him into the play school, they had a beautiful sand pit. And you know how as parents, we avoid usually sand and sand pits and stuff, ke ganda hokar aa jayega, pura ghar ganda karega and stuff. For about a month, he refused to go in his class because he was so awed and fascinated by a sand pit. So if I have set a goal for myself, and I see myself not wanting to do anything about it or avoiding it or not working towards it, that means it's not something that I honestly resonate with. It means that this is something I feel I'm doing it as a means to an end. It will give me this, it might give me that. It makes sense. It's a mental thing that it makes sense for me to do this. But I am not in love with it. Because when you are in love with something, you don't need to be pushed, right? You would not need reasons. You people would not have to say that, oh, you haven't met, say, your girlfriend, for example, in 3 months. Go, go, go. You love her, go meet her. No. You will say, I want to meet her 3 times a day, for example. So if I see myself just thinking that I have to do, and not doing it, then I must reflect on what is it that I'm working towards. Do I really want it? And if I want it, because it's not possible that if you want something honestly, I might pretend, I might lie to myself and say that no, I absolutely want it. But if I see this happening, either there is some sincerity issue that I'm lazy, which I have to give if I want to, if I have to go somewhere, if I have to do something, I have to move. But mostly I must question that, is this something I want? And this is again, personal reflection that one can talk about that with oneself, that why, if I say this is important to me and I want to do this, what stops me? And you yourself will get the answers. And sometimes even the reward, and we had spoken about it, like rewarding oneself, or kind of telling myself that if I won't do this, I will not get that. That's an initial way of pushing, and that's just for the laziness aspect. But if from inherently I'm not liking something, now these award and punishment systems, they won't work. They are just for discipline towards something higher. Yeah, that's all is coming to me. Please, yes.
Ma'am, so there is a follow-up question, but I don't think that it is kind of related to this topic. So should I send you a message on this, or maybe put it on next week, because I know the time is also running.
Yeah, so I think you message me and we'll take it up.
Sure,
But
sure.
yeah, there
Yes.
you had unmuted. If you-
Just Jagan spoke about procrastination. I just want to say about that, about my experience recently. So, procrastination, I was someone who would always take deadlines very seriously. For example, if I have 3 months to do something, I start doing on the when it's only 48 hours left for the deadline to complete. So it's been there from childhood, starting from those summer vacation homeworks. I would start sitting for 60 days homework on the 40th day. So recently I have started picking a few habits and which help me. I just wanted to share that. So instead of taking the deadline as a note in mind, why don't we see that something has come? So rewarding ourselves, or taking the thrill in doing it at the earliest instead of keeping it to the end. For example, let's take an example of ITR. We all tend to delay it. So if I know that ITR has started, instead of keeping it till the end, I would just see that the time has come and I would finish it and take the thrill in finishing it early. So that has helped with me, and it has definitely and scoring ourselves that how I was procrastinating before and how well I'm doing now. So those things definitely has helped.
Yes, thank you, dear.
Thank you, Ria.
Yeah, anybody else? Any reflections, any sharings? Even the verse that we have been doing in the heroic heart session, that to leave my native land is the practice of a bodhisattva. There was a big text verse, I don't remember it fully, but native land means somewhere I keep going to, a tendency that I keep, I don't know, picking up a pattern, a habit, a reaction. Lot of times, when we are talking about our friends, about our families, we are like, अरे ये हुआ है ना, वो पक्का वही करेगा. देखना वहां पे बैठ के कूद रहा होगा या वहां पे बैठ के रो रहा होगा. And that person is mostly doing that. So instead of indulging in mujhe pata hai what the other person is doing, why don't we take it as a cue that why? Why does it have to be the same? Am I also the same? Do I also just keep reacting? I'm also the monkey that, there's action and there is reaction. So many times we have people in our lives who react in a negative way or in a way which is not healthy or happy or delightful for anybody around. Years, especially, with elderly couples I've seen. 40 साल हो गए, ये पता नहीं कब बदलेगा या बदलेगी, right? And yet we don't see that I am still the same because I am saying that the other person is not changing. So it's their story, that's fine. But when I, as a third person, observe this, I must take these cues from life, from real life experiences, right? That I might wonder that, he's complaining that she doesn't change. 30 साल से उनका ये dynamics चल रहा है. And I am realizing that why don't you change so that you won't mind her changing? So where am I stuck, right? What am I not changing? Because it's very easy and it's very, I don't know, it gives a weird sort of pleasure in realizing where the other are going wrong. And it's so easy. Why can't they see? But I must look within. I must ask myself that why am I not picking up that cue? Why do I keep repeating? I mean, repeating obviously, feels comfortable, feels familiar, feels like, okay, this is me. But that me mostly is not serving me. So if, after this session, if we can just, I don't know, we usually don't do this, but just reflect on one thing that we feel stuck at. And if we could reflect on why we are stuck at that. Why, what all things are holding on? I mean, we can do it right now. We have few minutes, but I don't know if anybody would be willing. One characteristic of mine, which I can pick up, one pattern, one reactionary thing. Why do we do this? Just getting to the roots of it, and we'll know how to let go of it by itself.
When Jagan asked that question, it really, because in Buddhism there is a lot of discussion on that. Jiddu Krishnamurti has spoken a lot about it because many people asked him about how to get rid of negative habits like chattering, procrastination as well. Somebody said, and I also resonated a lot because I would have that mother symbol and the 12 qualities, and I look at them and I say, my God, I don't have this, I don't have this, and like, what am I gonna do? So, and one thing that really is something I found beautiful is this phase that Krishnamurti uses, is choiceless awareness. That if we know that's there, you just be aware of it. Don't initially, it's a gradual process, but just be aware that I procrastinate, because it's something that we all have, but just being aware of it helps a lot. And then Taru said as well, then once we are aware, it will automatically help us to go deeper why it's there. But the first step usually is just to be aware. Don't do anything, don't try not to procrastinate, just be aware. I am procrastinating, and that in itself, that the choiceless awareness will change everything. And there's also something I read from Pema Chodron, and she said that interrupting our destructive habits and awakening our hearts is a lifetime practice. So that really comforted me, that the 12 qualities that Mother has said is a lifetime, maybe not one lifetime, but lifetimes practice. So just be patient with ourselves, and I feel just taking one habit at a time, maybe work it for a while and see. So it helps.
Okay, so I wanted to keep the session shorter. I have some back issues. So before we just end, there was a video I wanted to share about Acharya Prashant. It's like maybe 5 to 6 minutes maximum. The Hindi in that is very good. So if there's something that we can't understand, we'll discuss it. But it was a different perspective. I mean, not a different, but he has a nice way of sometimes saying things which sometimes hit you. So I thought before we end today, we'll just watch that. If there's any reflection, we'll take and we'll end the session. So I'll share the video. Again, I apologize for the language, but I think it's good that we get exposed to new words.
राम कुमार हैं राजस्थान से। प्रणाम आचार्य जी। क्या व्यक्तिगत जीवन में सभी सुख दुख जो कर्म हमने किए हैं अतीत में उनका फल होते हैं, और अगर ऐसा है तो मैं कैसे यह सुनिश्चित कर सकता हूँ कि भविष्य में सुख या दुख मुझे नहीं होंगे?
न अतीत न भविष्य तुम्हारी मूल मुक्तता पर कोई प्रभाव डाल सकते हैं। तुमने अतीत में जो किया हो, तुम रहे होगे बहुत बड़े पापी। उसके बाद भी ठीक अभी तुमको यह ताकत, यह विकल्प उपलब्ध है कि तुम सही निर्णय कर सको, सही जीवन जी सको, बात को समझ सको। जिस व्यक्ति का सबसे निम्नतर स्तर का भी अतीत हो, जिसके ऊपर काले से काले कुकर्मों की छाया हो, उसको भी ये छूट निर्विघ्न निरंतर मिली रहती है कि वो पूरी बात को ठीक अभी समझ जाए और आजाद हो जाए। आजादी का क्या मतलब होता है? आजादी का ये मतलब नहीं होता कि पहले तुमने जो करा उसका असर तुम पर नहीं पड़ेगा। आजादी का मतलब होता है कि पहले तुमने जो कुछ भी करा था उसका असर अब किसी पर पड़ेगा, जिस पर पड़ेगा उसके पास तुम्हारा नाम होगा, उसके पास आत्मा नहीं होगी तुम्हारी। कर्म फल का पहिया तो घूमेगा, पहले कुछ करा है तो आज भुगतान तो करना पड़ेगा, लेकिन फिर भी इस पल अभी तुम्हें यह शक्ति और विकल्प उपलब्ध है कि तुम उस कर्म को करने वाले से और उस कर्म का कर्मफल आज भुगतने वाले से, दोनों से आजाद हो जाओ। तुम कहो कि जिसने किया वो भुगतेगा, हम नहीं भुगत रहे, तो भुगतने वाला भुगतेगा जरूर, क्योंकि कर्मफल का नियम अकाट्य है, उसमें कोई अपवाद नहीं होते। करा है तो भुगतोगे, लेकिन फिर भी जो तुम्हें शक्ति उपलब्ध है वो दोहराए दे रहा हूं, ये शक्ति तुम्हें उपलब्ध है कि जिसने किया उसने भुगता, मैंने नहीं भुगता। जिसने किया उसने भुगता, मैंने नहीं भुगता। तुम आजाद हो गए, तुम आजाद हो गए अतीत के कर्मफल से, और तुम आजाद हो गए उसी अतीत को भविष्य में दोहराने की बाध्यता से। इसी को कहते हैं वर्तमान में जीना। जो अतीत के कर्मफल से भी आजाद हो जाए और भविष्य के दोहराव की अनिवार्यता से भी। वो अब आत्मिक शक्ति में जी रहा है। वो कह रहा है खेल है, कोई था जो न जाने क्या क्या कर रहा था, कोई है जो न जाने क्या क्या भुगत रहा है। हमें दिख गया है कि हम करने वाले भी नहीं थे, तो हम भुगतेंगे क्यों? हम आजाद हैं। पुराने कर्मों का शरीर पर असर पड़ रहा है, हम पर नहीं पड़ रहा। पुराने खर्चों का हमारे बैंक खाते पर आज भी असर पड़ रहा है, हम पर नहीं पड़ रहा। पुराने जो भी कर्म करे थे वो आज लौट लौट कर आ रहे हैं और तन को और मन को दोनों को प्रभावित कर रहे हैं, पर हमको नहीं प्रभावित कर रहे। हम देखते हैं कि कैसे मन कपता है और तन को पीड़ा होती है। हम मुक्त हुए। कर्मफल काटा नहीं जा सकता। कर्ता से आजादी पाई जा सकती है। हम कर्ता को बचाए रखना चाहते हैं और कर्मफल काटना चाहते हैं, जो कि असंभव है। कर्मफल पड़ा रहने दीजिए, आपको कर्ता बनने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है, और जो करता नहीं वो भोगता नहीं।
Yeah, I don't know how much we were able to understand, but I found that an interesting perspective again, that till I am the doer, I suffer, right? And when I realize that it's a play, it's a happening, you know how Sri Aurobindo also so many times we have heard about his sense of humor and how he says that without humor, it would be too difficult. So if I have been reacting so many times, you know, years and years I've caught in some loop or believe something to be true. Today I can just smile and let go that, oh, Where was I stuck, rather than, blaming myself. So basically, I felt what he was trying to say was that suffering is optional, come what may, right? If we have done something in the past and there are certain circumstances that have presented themselves that are not really conducive to how I am used to things, or some challenges, financial, health, relationship. But if I am not there for them, if I am sitting, how they say, udasinta, if I am sitting somewhere which is higher, if I am sitting with the truth, if I can see that, how that comes and that also passed, that particular circumstances came and that also passed, how I am more than my circumstances, how I am more than what happens to me. So if I'm connected to the right center, things will happen. I will feel the pain. I have the body, physical pain. I have, the mind, the mental things, issues, feelings might be hurt. And yet, because a part of me is sitting a bit back, it stepped back a bit, my suffering is optional. It would not touch me. And that also reminded me, there's this person, I forget his name. He was a saint. My father used to go and hear his, pravachans. And once he was diagnosed with cancer. He was quite young and he was diagnosed with cancer. And they said he had to be operated on. And he said, yeah, absolutely do what you have to. But I would not take any anesthesia or anything. So the doctors were shocked and they were like, that how is that possible that there's a cancer surgery and we have to cut the cancer, we have to open you up and there is no anesthesia? And he was like, that's not possible. But he said, I am here, you are here. If you feel I need it, you can give it to me anytime, right? Why don't we start? Why are you scared? And doctors were like, okay. So when the surgery was going on and they were cutting him and doing stuff, and then, he was like nothing. And the doctor asked him that, kya aapko dard nahi ho raha? Like, are you not feeling the pain? And his reply was, ki jisko dard ho raha hai, wo main nahi hu. That's it. And the whole surgery went without anesthesia, that the one who is experiencing the pain, is feeling the pain, is not me. So this is my possibility as a human. And yet I find myself just in the loops of my thoughts, my past. I am like this because that happened to me 35 years ago. I am like this because, my mother was not kind. I am like this because I don't know. We were very poor when we were growing up. Like, numerous reasons, 20 years back, 10 years back, 5 years back, 50 years back. And yet they have that grip on me. So we can do better. For sure, there's no if and but about it. But the question is, do I want to do better? And if yes, I can begin, right? So yeah, thank you so much for joining in the Harmony Circle. I don't know, I felt I did too much talking today. There wasn't much sharing, but yeah, thank you.
It was very nice. Thank you, Zaru. Thank you so much.
It was a great session.
Thank you so much, Taru. Excellent session for dwelling inside. Yeah. So many questions will be answered.
Yeah, I hope that, it's like it feels a bit frustrating at times, right? Like about this wanting to change and inability to, like, our stickiness is so sticky that we need to further hammer it, right? That chisel out the things that one is capable of. Yeah. So just before we end, if we could just, just take 1 minute to thank Grace for the grace of such sessions, such gatherings, such company. And what a joy is it to have others who can be, who want to reflect on the same things and maybe try to rise above or step back from things that usually just capture us. So praying that all of us have good company, may all beings have beautiful, conducive, growth-oriented company. May all beings be truly well and truly happy. And yeah, thanking Grace and Mother for this ability. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Taru. Thank you, everyone. Bye.